My big suggestion to students, particularly through high school, is
you can do anything.
Choose it for you, not for it is worth it.
Just focus on the next step.
Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Don't be afraid.
As long as you're doing something.
That is such good advice.
I don't think I could see myself doing
It's
anything
a challenging life.
Student nights, Wednesday to
Oh,
Saturday.
I worked on that house.
I racked up every single dollar of debt that I
I
possibly
think
could.
there's a lot of pressure on high school.
Yeah, I
kids
just
these
love
days, right?
working outside.
And if money is something that you care a lot
In
about,
hindsight,
I've also been a very indecisive
But you
person.
keep looking for roads that have been less
It
travelled.
was just that moment that I knew what I wanted to do. So nothing else is going to change that.
Welcome to the guest speaker.
Well, shall we start, Sophie? so you can go pack your bags and go to wherever, Las Vegas, 4th of July.
That's crazy.
Interesting story. So I was born on the 5th of July. Had I
Yeah.
been born on the 4th of July, you get given a teddy bear.
Yeah.
if I missed a teddy bear by one day.
Damn it.
Yeah, got it. Hey, look, I was sitting down in Hamner Springs last weekend on the night of the Crusaders versus Chiefs, and
Yeah.
one I was like, it was clearly I was in the wrong place, so we were getting out yelled, but I also ran into an ex-student, or Koko, which you probably don't know, or Koko, but he's a computer engineer now, and so anyway, we were chatting away, watching this game, and then the following morning, I see your post in your Crusaders uniform, and I'm thinking, so I sent you some cheeky pull your head in text, you know, you traitor. But I thought, what a wicked time to bring you on to tell us about what you do. You know, Crusaders won, unfortunate for the Chiefs fans.
Yeah.
So look, my little gist, I suppose, is we'll talk briefly about your secondary school experience soon. You went to Victoria for a bit and didn't find that, and that'll be an interesting sort of, it wasn't for you for whatever reason we'll talk about. Then you went on for a Bachelor of Commerce Marketing and Event Management at Canterbury. You're now Partnerships and Engagement Coordinator at Canterbury Rugby, and you have an internship with the Crusaders.
Yeah.
So I suppose for kids sitting there going event management, I have heard event management before, but to be honest, I think all of us would just think it's, I don't know, down at the park, blow up some bouncy castle, collect some money. So it'd be like the firefighter thing. I think we'll get a shock. Having put on a concert myself in Cambridge, which just about killed me, not understanding promotions, ticket sales, all it. Yeah, so I'm really interested in where you're at, and that Crusaders connection for a lot of your people you're rubbing shoulders with will be interesting for us. So can I just bring you back to secondary school? Your experience at secondary school, the things you were good at, the things you enjoyed, the things you didn't. Briefly touch on that for us.
I moved to Canterbury High in year 11, so it was like a teenage girl's worst nightmare to move to high school. But I moved for reasons, and then I think I felt like real well in year 11, loved it, and then I don't know, year 12 and 13, I got hit with COVID. I was in the COVID years in those years, so it was pretty. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Oh, you go for it. You go for it.
Okay, that's pretty shit. Everything got disrupted. Every thing you would look forward to, the balls, like the graduation event, we didn't have any of it. So it wasn't fun. And I think
Can I just stop you there? Sorry. So I'm just going to interrupt because this could be watched in 5 years' time, and people are just going to not understand that COVID time. One, I was probably teaching you from my home while you were watching in your bedroom. Like there were these weird scenarios occurring from the teacher's point of view, but then the kids, and you're right, the balls, the field trips, the whole school experience was completely different. And to pretend it was good or effective is a joke. So I just wanted to touch on that for the humans sitting here and the kid in 5 years going, what are they talking about? There was no school. And in fact, I illegally crept into school, which I wasn't allowed to be, to video lessons to probably let you watch to try and get some normality. Anyway, carry on.
I remember those because I was an essential worker, which was like a big deal at the time. And so I'd go to work every day and come back and like watch the lessons. Like it felt like I was at uni early in a way that you could just watch school lessons. But I loved the social science and the PE, the sports science. Didn't get into any science or any like chemistry, biology, hated that. Didn't do math. Was like, no, screw that.
Yeah.
But I can't like excellence endorsed all 3 years. I don't think that helped. Like, I think it was cool at the time to say that I did that, but it didn't help getting into halls or anything. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be quite negative on high school. I did not enjoy it. Like, that's just a simple way to put it.
There were some experiences I know you had. I don't know whether you want to touch on them or not. That you and there'll be a lot of kids sitting there thinking, you know, lovely girl, things went well for her, excellence endorsement there, but things that happened at high school that were not pleasant and you didn't like.
I think like I was talking to, I'm not going to call her out, but I was talking to one of my friends from Cambridge High, probably one of the few I have. And I said, like, I don't know how much to talk about. I don't know what to say, but if I could tell anyone anything in year 12, 13, Cambridge is a small place. If you don't meet your friends at high school, it's not the end of the world. All of my friends are from university. Some of them didn't go to uni. They're from Christchurch. They're from Nelson. They're from Wellington. They're from Blenheim. Like, they're all over the show. I didn't meet my people at Cambridge High, and that's fine. I thought at the time, I was like, this is the end of the world. But I went to uni. You don't have to go to uni to find it, but I did. And looking back on it, high school felt like everything at the time.
Yeah.
But such a small piece.
Thank you for sharing that too, Sophie, because there are people who will resonate with that. Like, we've had the range where people go, I loved it, and it was actually hard to leave because they felt like I found them there, whereas a lot of people, always say the majority, but heaps will relate to that, where they're like, I'm spending time with these people because I have to see them every day.
Yeah.
Then to get out of here, move. Like, you obviously went first to Vic, which is the top of the South Island, not the bottom of the North Island.
Bottom of the North, yeah.
What? Sorry, geography. It's at the
You're a scholarship geography student again.
So it's at the, let's pretend like that didn't happen, but it did. So the bottom of the North, and then you went to the South Island. So you had no hesitation of like, yeah, I want to get away.
Yeah. I knew, because I moved to Cambridge, I think our family moved there when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And that's just all I knew was everyone from Cambridge. I knew a couple people from Hamilton, but any Cambridge snob would be like, I don't want to go to Hamilton. So like, you just stay in Cambridge. And I wish I knew at the time, like, if I was sitting in whatever Mr. Love's class was right now, year 12 and 13, and the girl was telling me, don't worry, like, you'll meet your friends. I'm like, nah. Like, the Cambridge is what it is. But yeah, I'm glad that I know now, but I wish I knew at the time.
Yeah, it would have saved a lot of, I'm sure, angst or stress or just honestly wasted energy. So we're hoping now someone listening, you're going to give them that permission to be like, oh, sweet, I don't need to stress at all. My people, I'll find my people. And that's maybe not what school is for me. Let me find school. It can be something else, but it's not friendship making necessarily.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've touched on it too, Sophie. This whole thing we're trying to achieve is take a kid's mind. And again, we take, you know, they live at home, they go to school. That's the only world they know. To ask them what's going to happen here, like what job, is actually quite ridiculous if they can't picture it. And the same with friends. I see a lot of kids sitting at school too, pretending like they're in a, you know, last day of school and there's 40 of them together and we're going to stay in touch every day of our lives. And the reality is 10 years down the track, you have your one or two, you know, on the same, have your one or two. The rest came from the others. So I think even with your experience not being great, it doesn't matter whether it's good or great. You don't necessarily take, your lifelong friends. So that's really cool. So can I just touch then, you had this experience. When did you start thinking, obviously your first thought was Vic. What were your thoughts when you were at school about what you thought was going to happen over here? And how did you go about navigating that? What were your choices in front of you? Yeah, and
Like
so
how I decided on that kind of thing.
yeah, you obviously decided tertiary study. I don't know whether you had other options. Yeah, what was your decision-making process?
I think because mum and dad are both teachers, I was kind of just like, uni's just what I'm going to do. And I didn't have an issue with that. I wanted to do the uni experience. Like my brother went off to uni. Everyone, I don't think I knew many people that didn't. And I wanted to do it. Like it wasn't like I'm doing it because my parents are making me. I wanted to. And my brother was in college in the States. So I was like, oh yeah, like this is like the coolest thing ever, going to uni and stuff. And then I don't know, my dad went to Victoria. So I was just like, oh yeah, that works. Like I'll go to Vic. We had some family, like loose family in Wellington. I was like, perfect. If I like need anything, I'm there. We're in the same island. If mum and dad need to get to me overnight, they can, like that sort of thing. I'm very close with mum and dad. So it's quite a big thing to go to Christchurch. But I'm not sure. I had one friend in Wellington who she'd never know this was like her impact, but I went down to see her at the end of year 12 and she like took me through, I'd never been to Wellington. She took me through all the streets and like we went down Cuba and did all that. I was like, yeah, this is it. She didn't realize that she was like doing that, but I was like, yeah, this is what it's going to be. I saw the hall from Cuba Street that I wanted to be in on the top of Kelburn. Like, yeah, this is it. This is going to be it.
And you only applied for Vic then? In year 13, you applied for Vic. That was your number one.
Yeah, so I applied for Vic, got into my hall. My best friend, who's still my best friend, got in the same hall. We're like, this is mint. It was right before exams when we were back at school from a COVID lockdown. And I was like Christchurch seems cool. But I was like, I'm in too deep. Like I've got my hall. I applied for Christchurch UC, but I didn't apply for halls or anything. I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'll just apply. So like I've applied. Yeah, but I was locked in on Vic, which is just so weird to think about. Like it's a fever dream that I went there.
Yeah. So what did you study at Vic and how long did you stay? Just talk us through Vic and what you felt about it.
So I think had no clue what I wanted to study, and I enjoyed, don't make your head too big here, but I enjoyed geography so much. I was just like, oh sweet, I'll just study geography. Like I don't have a plan here. I don't know what jobs they lead to. Mum and dad, everyone's a teacher in my family. I was like, yeah, sweet, I'll just become a teacher. And then went to Vic, started my papers. Oh, week I get COVID. And this is at the point where it's a 10-day lockdown, can't leave your room, can't do anything. And in a halls of residence, your room was pretty small. So I'm dealing with this. I've missed the part where you go and meet everyone. Our hall is like locked down. Everyone has COVID. My best friend escaped it. So she was on the opposite side of the hall to me, but she escaped it and went home. So I missed out on like any sort of connection. And then at this time when I'm in lockdown is all the riots at the parliament. So I can't even, well, they're about COVID, but no one really remembers them. But helicopters flying around at 3 a.m. around your hall, like no sleep, can't go outside, so sick. I was just like, ooh, this isn't a great start. I'm sitting in my classes, and while I did enjoy all the Mangatotiri field trips and everything, like my classes were just learning about rocks. I was like, oh, this isn't Mr. Ludlam telling stories. Like this isn't what I thought it was going to be at all. And then I was kind of like, okay, I think I'm in the wrong place. I'm studying the wrong thing. I kind of needed to take a breather, but I was past the first 2 weeks of university. You can chop change, you can do anything you want. I was past that, so I had to stick to the degree for the semester if I wanted to get the points. I could have stopped, not got any points, but I knew that I wanted to keep studying, so I did the points to get it to the degree I was going to choose, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. You touched on a really good point there, Sophie. I think a lot of kids sit in rooms in schools and either hate their teacher or don't connect with them and then think, so therefore the uni experience is going to be bad. And that's not, and similarly, they have a relationship where they like the teacher and the way it's taught and that personality maybe, and they and that's not the right. Yeah, it's a difficult one for kids. And this is wonderful. You're touching on leaving school, thinking I enjoy something, but the reality being different. It's good.
Yeah, that's it was definitely interesting, like sitting in the lectures, because we were in COVID times. No one talked to each other in lectures. You barely went to a lecture. You didn't meet anyone at tutorials because no one went. They were all online. So I think it'd be interesting to see if I redid that semester in a normal life, if like I did meet people, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think about this often too, Sophie, because I was at the end of the college. I went to States for college, and we could see it in that freshman class, which I think is your same one, where the end of the high school was curtailed and the beginning of college. And so you realize the fundamental like social time interaction. It wasn't the education that was actually being like reduced. They'd figured out how to do that online. It was exactly what you're saying of meeting the new people, being excited to meet new people. Instead, it was unfortunately pretty squandered. So you won't know because that was your experience, but it is one of those what if thoughts.
Yeah. It's I like so many of my friends now, like I don't even remember you at Wellington. Like that's just like I think I just went into a shell. I was like, this isn't it.
Yeah.
And I knew pretty quickly, and mum and dad were so supportive, and they're like, if you wanna, the reason I moved unis was because I came down to visit a friend. I'm not gonna call him out, but I went down to visit him, and then I just loved it. I was here for 2-3 days, and I was like, this is it. That friend, his friends that I met, I'm like, this is my friend group now. Like they're my best friends. I live with them. So it's just it's so weird that even my whole like perspective on university changed in a weekend. I went back to Wellington on the flight. Was pretty keen not to go back, but I went back, called mum and dad. I was like, look, we need to do something here. And they were really good. They just said, if you want to move, you can organize it. Like, we've set you up in Wellington, we've driven you down, we've got you there. But if you want to move to Christchurch, you sort it with the unis, you sort it with the halls. And yeah, I managed to get into the same hall as this whole friend group, on the same floor, neighbours, next to a couple of the best friend I went down to see at the time. And yeah, I ended up living in the same.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was George, best friend. I was neighbours with him in halls. It just like everything worked out so perfectly.
It should have been the inkling that you were going to be into like event management, because you're making it sound very simple. We have a whole Hunters Help about it. Halls of residence, changing universities, registration, enrollment. Like the fact that you did this, I'm assuming in a very short time span, from when you think you decided like that flight back to Wellington to then moving to Christchurch, what kind of timeline do you think that was?
I think I was locked in halls and uni in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, we should have seen writing on the walls that this was what you were going to do.
Yeah, I was pretty like this is happening. I'm not staying here any longer than I had to be there. I stayed for exams and everything. But yeah, I was pretty adamant on getting out of there.
Wow, impressive that you achieved that so quickly.
Weird to think.
Tell us about your degree. You go to Canterbury now. Things are looking up. You finally found that path. So one message to kids: if you're not happy, go. Either get out or change. But so now you're now on track. You're doing your event management. What's that degree all about? And insight into that for us.
So it's a Bachelor of Commerce. I major in marketing, so I was actually pretty stitched up. I essentially did this to myself, but because I did that first semester in Wellington, that added to my points. And university, everyone is there to help you. If you don't understand the degree, if you don't understand electives or points, I had no clue. Everyone is there to help you. They have every sort of support there. Anyways, because I did these points, which were essentially electives at the start in Wellington, I didn't really have room to try different types of marketing. I wasn't able to go into like management or accounting. Not that I would do accounting, but I wasn't able to do that. So I did my core papers, which you had to do. And then I think I had room for 1 or 2 electives in second year. And I just chose a broad one. And then that third year, I had to go from that broad paper specific, and it just ended up being event management. In my current job, I don't actually do much event management. Like I'm more, I'll be able to explain it later, but yeah, marketing is just the strictly, you have to do 5 core papers like economics, accounting, management, marketing, and it's like one about AI, which seemed stupid like 2 years ago, but now it's great. So,
And the view in your head was you were going to move into some not probably what you ended up in. You felt it was a career. Well, the degree was going to be related to some sort of career with lots of people, with things on.
Yeah. My dad said to me, and when I was in Wellington, he's like, "Why don't you try marketing?" And you know how there's the thing where if your parents say you don't want to do it, that was like, nah, like I don't think marketing's for me. And then I ended up doing one of those sessions where it's almost like a psychologist, and you like rate all these different aspects of your life and stuff, and they almost tell you what to study. And he just was like, "Yeah, marketing, digital and events." I was like, "Oh, Dad was right." Like, yeah, and that's honestly the reason why I enrolled in it. I think I would have done a Bachelor of Commerce anyways, but I didn't know what I would have wanted to do. But I think marketing was pretty set. Yeah.
Can I just quickly then, just for those kids contemplating Canterbury, just experiencing Canterbury in general, maybe, so we know that's your degree. Obviously, you love the city. You went into halls, all good, liked it.
Yeah, all the halls. No one could say a bad word about halls. Like, because going from Wellington, I had like the hall I was in. I don't know, just must have been in a rut. Like everything sucked. And then I went to UC. I was in uni hall, and like the third was meant like put on the fresher 5. I was like, hell yeah, like uni's sick. And then did all that, like loved it. Every other hall I'd never heard a bad word about. Yeah, no one can say a bad word about Christchurch, which I think is like a one-eyed cantab. That's a real thing. Yeah. And then I think Christchurch, I found it to be like Cambridge, which was the sense of home, but it was big enough and new enough that there was new experiences. I think Wellington was just like a shock to my system. I was like, there's so much going on. There's so many people. This is like the smallest city with so many people. And then Christchurch, like Hagley Park, it just feels like Cambridge. It's like the sense of home because that's the only place I knew. But yeah, like the city's beautiful. It's just, yeah, love it.
Cool. So did you get your degree and finish then the job, or was the job?
This is the start of 3rd year, which was last year for my 2024. I was working retail at Country Road. I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Probably wouldn't want to do this full time. Like, I'm pretty happy to get my degree. And then I kind of just realized, I was like, I don't want any of my marketing skills to be like at the supermarket trying to market like spaghetti. I don't want to do that. An agency didn't really occur to me. Like, there's a couple down here in Christchurch, but I was like, nah. And I grew up around sport. I was pretty like, oh, like sport. It's an area I want to be in. And I think like my degree can be applied in sport. One of our really good family friends is quite connected with the Crusaders. And so I ended up messaging him. I was like, this is kind of the situation. I just want to get some work experience. Like, how do I just get a foot in the door kind of thing? And he set me up with the events executive. Well, so I went through a couple people and then finally got to the events exec at Crusaders. She's awesome. Like, she set up kind of my whole pathway pretty much. And then it was halfway through their season last year. And like, if you know the Crusaders, they didn't have a very good run last year, which everyone else was pretty happy about. So I was walking into like what I thought would be a pretty like icy environment, but everyone was just awesome. I ended up just working game days, so just helping out. Because there was about 5 interns, and they were all doing it for a university paper, and I think that was almost my point of difference because they were all super passionate, but they were doing a sport degree and they were there to get the hours, they were there to do it for their paper, which is fair enough. It's to get your degree. Whereas I was there on a marketing lens going, this is my free time. Like, this is my whole Saturday. I was working 12 hours on a game day and I was like, I want to be here. Like, I know this is where I want to be. I could be like, all my mates are at 21st or doing whatever. I was like, nah, I'll be at work. I just want to be around it.
And what's work? So talk us through a day with the Crusaders in this internship. Yeah, what does that look like?
An internship, so you're specific to a game day at the Crusaders, you're rocking up at about 11 to, it's called packing in. Like, I was like, what the fuck were you packing? Like, what? And then, so it's pretty much just setting up the whole stadium. That's like from setting up the corporate hosting to the like the members areas to going through all the halftime activations. It's like anything you don't think of, it has to be set up, which I just didn't realize. They're like, yeah, chuck the flags at gates and then put all these bins out. I was like, oh, like when I walk in the stadium, that's done. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's because everyone's there at 11 a.m. for a 7 p.m. game, sorting out everything. We have a match day meeting, which goes for around an hour. You go through the run sheet. I should have brought one. It's about 12 pages, double-sided, and it has kickoff, T-minus 45 seconds, player, like, ball runs out. Tee off minus 35 seconds, like, music starts. 30 seconds, team leaves. Like, it's just things you're like, how is this so organized? And then you watch the game and you're like, oh, like, this is legit. Yeah, like, because I'm not sure if you've been to a Crusaders song. Like, you've got the horses. You've got 6 horses that run around the field 3 times. The health and safety around that is insane. Like, you're trying to sort all these horses so they don't freak out on the field. You've got all these fans like yelling at them. Like, it's just, and then you've got the iconic Crusader song. You need to time it perfectly so the horses run out perfectly, but then you need to replay it when the players run out so that it's perfect, and just things you're just like, I would never have thought about that. So I wasn't doing any of that. I'm an intern. I'm handing out flags at the gates. I'm in the members lounge, like getting to know the members, because as soon as the Crusaders members are pretty hearted, like pretty hardcore. So like if they've got a Crusader staff talking to them, they're like, oh my God, like, can you bring me over like Scott Barrett? I'm like, no, like he doesn't know who I am. Like that sort of thing. But just, yeah, the game starts and you're like, you don't watch a game when you work it. You're just so, yeah, locked in. And then you've got halftime activations. Halftime's 15 minutes and it feels like about 2 when you're working it, because you've got that much going on. It was funny, like when you're an intern, if you get to do a halftime activation on the field, it was like the coolest thing ever. Like, I was out on the field in front of 14,000 people. I was like, none of these people know who I am, but this is awesome. Like, yeah.
Are you just buzzing the entire, like, I'm thinking, yeah, when most people go to work, you know, you are just, it's just incredible.
So I got added to the WhatsApp group chat of the game day. And so this is still, when I'm Crusaders, just an intern. And I haven't even met these people on the first day. I wake up on Saturday at like 7:30 a.m. It's game day. Let's get this bread. Let's go. Like all this. And I'm like, who are these people? Like, we've literally lost like every game this year. Like, what's going on? They're just like, game day is the best day of the week. I feel like that's the only way to describe it. Everyone is just fizzing on game day. Like, it'll be pissing down with rain. And you're like, yes, I won't want to be anywhere else. So I think like the people that I met at the Crusaders, I was like, meeting them, I was like, this is where I want to be, kind of thing. Like they're a different breed. They're not necessarily passionate about rugby, they're just passionate about what they did. And I was like, this is just awesome. I don't want to, it's essentially a 9 to 5, but sport hours isn't a 9 to 5. Like, I'm working every weekend. I'm out at club rugby at the moment on the weekend. I'm out doing game days. Like it's not a 9 to 5. And I remember that being one of my goals. I was like, I don't want to sit at a desk. Like, yeah, I am sitting at a desk Monday to Friday, but like I'm out. Like yesterday I was working and I got called out to do content in Lincoln for the under 16 and 18 development camp. I was like, oh, sweet. That's like 2 hours outside, just behind a camera. Like, it's not exactly answering emails all day, which I quite enjoy. But yeah, sorry.
If I
back
just
to
go
me.
back,
Yeah.
I'll just go, Sophie, something you said before. It's interesting for the rest of the country, and we probably should have known this. They had a bad year. If I'm just talking rugby, it doesn't change culture and that entire Canterbury attitude. So if you were the TAB, the next year you're largely ignoring that. They're not one of those teams that was suddenly going to be last again or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But you've now seen the background behind a real culture that it's from the people rocking up with their kids in prams, to the atmosphere in town, to the belief in the team, to the support, to the people like you working. You can't deny that.
Yeah, I think like every Crusaders Canterbury Rugby fan is just so like-minded, and they're like, yeah, a one-eyed Cantab is a real thing, but it shows passion. Like, I just think they're so genuine, and they just get behind the team of whatever they're doing. They're like, yeah, it's my team. So yeah, everyone just wants to see
working with them now. Sophie, is that so? What happens with you now? Do you start preparing next year? How does it work?
So I don't work. I'm not a contract. I'm not paid by the Crusaders. I don't like actually work for them. Wait. Should I just go on to what I do now? Sorry, I'm just like
Go.
End of the Crusaders season, the head of marketing, the acting head of marketing was I was just chatting to him, and all the other interns were sport and rec degree, and I was kind of like, look, like, I'm on the marketing side. I know you're head of marketing. Like, is there anything that I could come along to and kind of just, like, I love the event side of it, but is there anything that I could come, like, even just to like the weekly marketing meeting and kind of just see how it operates? Like, I'm used to sitting in a lecture, hearing about different theories. Like, I kind of just want to see what actually happens. And so this is the last game where he just said to me, he said, like, you could come to our weekly meetings, but you won't get much. We're doing our annual marketing review in about a month. Come along to that. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, this would be cool. And so I was like ready to just sit there and listen. Like, I'd never been in like a corporate environment. Like, I like bought a blazer. I was like, oh my God. And then it was the night before. I'll never forget it. The night before, he goes, hey, do you want to present at the meeting? And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And so I've gone, he said, you're obviously a student. So this is halfway through my last year of university. Crusader season ended a bit early, so it's probably just before halfway. And then he's gone, you're obviously a student. Do you want to present to our the marketing commercial team on how we can get more students at the game? And I've gone, oh yeah, like, I can do that. Like, I know I can do that. I've been to the game from a student. I've been to the game working. So I'm in a flat of 6. I was like, everyone in the living room now, like, why are we not going to games? Like, what are we doing? Like, is it just because it's cold? Like, all this. So I've gone in I haven't worked all night, but I've made a presentation to present to everyone in this meeting. Like, it's in a BNZ commercial office boardroom. I was like, this isn't in the changing rooms. Like, this is like, I was like quite nervous for this. I got all these leverage ideas together. Kind of was just like, this is imposter syndrome, and I'm just gonna fake it till I make it. Went in the meeting. I was expecting to have like almost like a couple board members. Like, I didn't know what I was expecting, but it was the team that I was there on game days with. So I was like, oh sweet, like, they're the most genuine, kind people I've ever met. Like, this will be awesome. Like, it was just a huge learning day for me. I presented to them. It was all good. They loved it, I want to say. And then one of the girls.
So why were students not going to the games? Tell us what from your perspective.
Well, it could be anything, because Apollo Projects, it's a temporary stadium. It's freezing cold. Like, it's just the experience for a student in a cheap ticket. It's like, it's just, unless you're pretty drunk and are warm, it's not really, like, you could just watch it at a pub, or we could watch it at home kind of thing. So I've come up with all these ideas, like focusing on their different sponsors. Like, KFC is huge in Super Rugby, and I've gone, let's have like a flat shout. If you get 5 tickets for how much KFC will buy your flat a full feed. Like I was just coming up with everything I could. Didn't know if they'd done any of it, didn't know anything. I went into it pretty blind, like looking back at it, I was like, oh, that was such a bad idea, like all that. But yeah, I kind of came up with everything I could. I presented to them and yeah, they really enjoyed it. I think they did a couple of the ideas this year, which was quite exciting to see. And then one of the girls next to me, I'll never forget it, she goes, oh, like there's a job at Canterbury Rugby opening up, like you should apply. My best friend does the role at the moment. But I was like, no, like I study full time. Like I've got 4 papers going on. I'm working part-time at Country Road. I was like, no, like, I can't do that. And then she said to me, I studied full-time and work full-time. You just have to be organized. And I'll never forget that she said that. That was like a huge moment for me. I was like, oh yeah, I can be organized. Like challenge accepted kind of thing.
Yeah.
She put me in touch with the girl who was doing the role at the moment, who is now one of my best friends. I went for coffee with her and I was like, oh, like kind of like what's like the deal with the role, like all this. And she was like, oh, it's like we've got a pretty awesome team here. She just explained the role to me more than a job description, kind of like you're doing this, but you're also doing this. And like it says this, but like it means this sort of thing. And I've gone like, okay, I walked away from it. Was like, yeah, that feels right. Went home and applied and then went to Brisbane the next day to go see mum and dad and stay with them for a couple of weeks because it was university holidays. And in that time, I've got a message from the manager of the commercial team, which is the team I'm a part of now. He's like, hey, like, I just want to give you a quick call. I was like, oh, yeah. And then he kind of was just, it was just a real casual phone call. I was like, oh, this is like, he's like a good dude. Like, he's from Cambridge. I never come across him. He's from Cambridge. Like, just a dad of like 2 young kids. Just wanted to kind of not like get a, like, I think maybe just get, like, understand who I was a bit. And like, my application was clear that I was still studying. Like, if they hired me, they're taking a bit of a, like a, this isn't her priority at the moment sort of perspective. Anyways, had a good chat to him, ended up getting an interview, got the interview, like did the interview and got the job. I was kind of like, okay. I was so excited, but I was like, yeah, I need to lock in kind of thing. And yeah, went back to Christchurch 2 weeks later and started on the 12th of July. So I'm almost at a year at my job. Yeah, which feels really weird. So I did that, a full semester at uni I did while studying. So that was, for me, Monday to Friday, working in the office until I was I was very lucky with my team. And he was like, he kind of just said, like, go home kind of when you need to. Like, we all know you're going to the library. We know you're not going off and drinking at a bar with your mates on a student night. Like, we know you're doing what you need to do to get your degree, and we know that's your priority. And so I was very lucky. I don't think I would have been able to do it if I didn't have a manager like that and a team like that. Yeah, I didn't want to do it. My degree, I was like, no, I've got my job. I don't want to do it anymore. But mum kind of pulled my in a bit, and she's like, you need to do the degree to get, like, to keep the job and like all this. So yeah, managed to get the degree. It was when we were in season for Canterbury Rugby as well, which means I was working Saturdays as well, some Sundays. And so I would kind of position myself. So I would, essentially the hours I worked on Saturday, I would take back on a Monday. And then I was spending Monday at the library to kind of catch up on what I'd missed. And then, yeah, just being at the library each night and kind of just grinding for 6 months. And now I'm chilling. Yeah.
So what's the future hold, Sophie? I mean, it's been a great journey following you through to here. What are you thinking, or are there opportunities or plans?
My role that I'm in at the moment, I really enjoy, but I've always said my 10-year goal 2 years ago was to be a part of the Brisbane Olympics in 2032. So I'm not sure, like, I can still see myself doing that because I know it's in sport. I'm not necessarily passionate about rugby. I'm just passionate about, like, the sporting atmosphere. So I think I could see myself maybe going to Brisbane and like in the Olympics somehow, or involved in AFL or NRL. I think Brisbane is just easy because it's where mum and dad are. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Like we're going into the new stadium next year in Christchurch, which is like going to be a huge, like that doesn't happen often. You don't exactly get a new stadium every 10 years. So that's something I definitely want to be a part of. Yeah. When I read the question on the question sheet, I was like, oh, I'm not sure.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. That's wicked. There's a few things before we start to wrap up, Sophie. I think it's interesting hearing you talk because I go back to your secondary experience and there seems to be this search for social and then the not getting it, and then the same with Vic. And then even once you get to Canterbury, your study was always seemed secondary to being happy, to having a great life and friendship, which is really cool. That's essentially you. And then becoming part, you keep mentioning the word teams and good people. And he's a cool dude. You want to surround yourself with, and I suppose that goes back to you knowing yourself. You know, there's some kids that head off to uni, and we've interviewed some of them, and they are just head down, bum up. They don't need to talk to another human. They are blinkered. That's their gig. But I'm glad you found where you wanted to be and found yourself. Really important. Yeah, you go.
Well, I just think that's interesting because, like, I agree that I didn't have my people at secondary school. And I think as soon as I found them, I was like, yeah, like I can talk, not initially like talk as much as I want, but like I can be so comfortable and happy. Like we get told this often, my team of 8 in the commercial team at Canterbury Rugby, like we are just, they're not like colleagues, they're like my best friends. I was saying to my mom the other day, like there's 8 of us, you could put any of us in a room for the full day, just like 2 people, and you wouldn't run out of things to talk about. Like we are so lucky. And I think, I'm not sure, I've been told it's like a sport thing, but I would struggle to leave this team of 8. Like they're my people, and I get told how lucky I am to have my job, and I know I'm very lucky, but like the people is what makes it 100%.
Yeah. You've also put yourself out regularly by the sound. You reached out to people, you messaged, you found friends and family. You didn't sit back and hope someone noticed you. So that was something I probably wouldn't have picked up when you were younger, that you'd have that. Yeah, it's a sneaky determination, really. You know, and behind this persona, there's a determined young woman, which has served you well.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that wasn't at high school. I was pretty happy just like not doing the bare minimum, because I definitely tried at high school, but I was like, I'm not like keen to like branch out sort of thing.
Well, also it sounds like, again, just because I'm hearing this fresh, like we don't know, now we know, I know a lot about you, but all these conversations and opportunities you've had, and Ludlam knows I'm huge with this, is like once you kind of enter this sphere and there's these new people, your people, and then you do get that shoulder tap of like, you should come apply for Canterbury Rugby in this role. And because now you've found this, it's not necessarily like an end goal, but you have this drive and direction of like, oh, this is like what I want to do. I want to be a part of a team. Even you mentioned your brother went to the States. I'm sure he can attest the college athletic experience is something I could imagine you being in and really thriving in that environment too. So the fact that you have Brisbane 2032 as a goal, I have no doubts you could be there in 10 different capacities because you have met so many people. Honestly, that like in Paris, I know some people who were content creators and got to go with the Olympic team, and they're like, they think that this would get me to the Olympics, but it did, and it does. So all these connections you're making with people, that is what's going to help you grow, and not in like this malicious networking way, but in just a genuine way where people are going to be like, oh, Sophie, you love it. Yeah. And you've got that personality where you're going to embrace it. So I just think that's huge. I've noticed that. In terms of questions that we might have, I have a sign-off question, but before that, is there anything, Ludlam, but also mainly you, Sophie, that we haven't asked you that you think we should have, or something that you'd want to get on the record? And have a think. You don't have to rush.
Yeah. Blair.
Just from my perspective, it's really great. A lot of kids don't have necessarily the best experience at school. So I think it's important to acknowledge those kids sitting in a room going, whatever it is, maybe home's not good or friends aren't good, school's not good, hate this teacher, whatever. There's a million reasons why schools doesn't work. I'm glad that didn't put you off. It wasn't like you weren't a great kid. It just, finding your place. And so I'm really proud that you stuck at it and didn't let that become an excuse. I think that's really easy. I've told this story before, and I want to find this guy if I can. There was a guy doing my flooring in my new kitchen, and I just got chatting, and he had been expelled from school, but here was a guy who now owned his own business. And so it's not making it, and it's those stories we need to find too. School doesn't have to be perfect for everyone. So well done on that. And then for some reason, I don't know why, the proudest thing is that presentation. And I suppose because I used to get up and perform, to think you were doing the same thing, it really gives me a lot of joy. So, and before I forget and Grace signs off with you, send my love. Obviously, your grandfather is one of my idols. He's been a great, for everything I've done and the sort of man I want to be. So make sure you send my regards to him and his lovely wife and your parents. Enjoy that wedding of your brothers.
Yes.
Just, really proud of what you've done. It's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it feels weird to think I was presenting like you were. Getting all passionate with my hands and doing different things.
You weren't swearing, were you, Sophie?
No, I was trying to make a good impression.
Good girl.
Sophie, how about you? Do you feel like there's anything we missed or anything else you wanted to add in?
I think touching on my granddad, like Mr. Loveland just said, I can't call you Blair, that just feels weird. Like the people around you like make it, because high school, we've like mentioned, just wasn't for me, and like it was so lucky to have my granddad there to support me, but it's really just the people around you. Like I feel like that's all I can say. I don't know, like granddad was so supportive of me. Like he could see I wasn't enjoying it, he could see I was struggling, and whether that was a leaf slip every now and then to go home, which I probably shouldn't say, but just he I'd never miss out on geography though. You can vouch.
Oh, well, thank you. And then our sign-off question we've been asking everyone is, if you could go back to your year 12, 13 self, and not generic, because I think you've given great advice for the general person who's going to listen, and you already sort of said it, but if it was Sophie to Sophie, what advice would you be giving yourself?
I'd kind of say, like, don't worry. Just don't stress at the moment. Like, you're year 12, you're year 13, you're in a weird time of life. And, like, that was specific to COVID, but anyone can be in a weird time of life in high school, whether that's, like, family or socially. But I think, don't worry. Don't stress. It's all going to work out. Like, you'll find your people, you'll find what you're passionate about. And if you are passionate about it, you'll put in the work and you'll get where you want to be. I feel like that's all
I love that part. If you are passionate, then because you said before, like in high school, it wasn't that you weren't trying, but you were doing what needs to be done. You still got good grades, but once you found what you were passionate about, then it makes sense. Then you're up late working on the presentation, genuinely excited to work on a Saturday. Like all these things you're saying is because you're passionate about it, which is really awesome that you've found that still very young as well.
Yeah. It feels weird to find it. Well, I was 20 when I started my job. So it's weird. Bit imposter syndrome, but it's all right.
Well, we look forward to 2032. Who knows where Loveland and I will be in. And we'll say, she's at the Olympics.
Yeah, I was on the podcast, how many years ago?
Yeah. We need to do a review show and see where you're at.
I know. Yeah, because when you sent me through my goals that I wrote down, I was like, Sophie, like, what are you focusing on? I was like, why are you worrying about these sorts of things? Like, I felt like saying, shut up. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it'll be fine. But it's been a
but you only know what you know at that age.
Exactly,
it just, yeah, to expect you to have known more or to be more mature about it or to have hindsight, you haven't got it. So,
No, not a clue. No clue what was going on.
yeah, cool. Hey, look, we'll take care, Sophie, and thank you very much for your time. Enjoy that wedding and take care of yourself, and hopefully we catch up soon. I might get down to Christchurch to visit my daughter. I dropped her off that weekend, and
Yes, I saw that.
yeah. I'll
Yeah,
catch
well,
up
I'll put you a Crusaders jersey. Don't worry about that.
with- go.
All right, thank you for having me.